So, have you ever felt like totally overwhelmed by all the keto diet info out there?
Yeah, it seems like everyone's got a strong opinion on it.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it's the best thing ever or the worst thing ever?
Definitely lots of hype, but also lots of confusion.
Exactly. And that's what we're tackling today, right? We're going deep with this source, pros and cons of the keto diet.
Absolutely. Going to break it down so we can actually figure out what's what.
No hype, just the facts.
Exactly.
So, are you thinking about trying keto yourself?
Well, there's a reason it's so popular.
Yeah.
It really does have this wow factor that a lot of other diets just don't.
Right. Like the source mentions losing fat super fast,
Yes.
feeling more energetic, even needing less sleep.
It's pretty appealing, right?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be interested in that?
And honestly, a lot of the claims, especially about the fast fat loss, it's actually backed by science.
Oh, really?
Yeah, keto basically changes how your metabolism works. Like it forces your body to burn fat for energy
Yeah.
instead of using carbs.
Oh, so it's not just about what you eat then.
Right.
It's how your body actually uses it.
Exactly.
That's pretty interesting.
And it's like switching from, gasoline to electric power. And
Yeah.
the source even talks about these things called ketones.
Ketones, okay.
Yeah, they're molecules that your body makes when it's burning fat for energy.
I've heard of those.
And they're like this super efficient fuel source for your brain and muscles.
Okay, I think I've heard that term, but I never really understood what it meant.
Yeah, well, just think of them as like the VIPs of the energy world.
Okay.
They give you that long-lasting energy without those sugar spikes and crashes that you get from carbs.
Makes sense.
And, the source also mentions some people on keto need less sleep.
Yeah, less sleep.
There's not a ton of research on that yet, but it's definitely something people have observed.
Huh. So less sleep, more energy. That's like the dream,
Right.
especially for busy people like myself.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to talk about the low-carb flu.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
It is a common thing, especially when you're first starting keto.
Okay.
Your body's basically like, what is happening? Because it's used to burning carbs, and now it has to switch to fat.
Oh, so it's like your body throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, basically.
That's kind of funny.
You might feel tired, headachy, kind of foggy.
Oh, so maybe not so much with the less sleep thing then, if you're feeling lousy.
Well, it's usually temporary, at least that's what the source says, and staying hydrated and getting enough electrolytes can really help with those symptoms.
Okay, so it's not forever.
Right, and think about it. If you're eating lots of processed carbs, you're probably already going through those sugar highs and crashes all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
This is kind of like hitting the reset button for your body.
So it's like retraining your body to function differently.
Exactly, the way it was designed to.
Okay, I'm starting to get it, but what about the reduced appetite thing?
Oh, yeah.
The source was talking about that, like you just don't feel as hungry on keto.
That's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah, fewer cravings. Is that like magic or is there some science behind that?
Well, it's actually really interesting. Remember insulin,
Yeah.
that hormone we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat lots of carbs, your insulin levels go way up, and that can cause cravings.
Ah, so it's not just about willpower then.
No, it's about hormones.
Yeah.
And on keto, because you're keeping your carbs low,
Right.
your insulin levels are much more stable.
Makes sense.
That helps you regulate your appetite,
Mm.
and you don't get those crazy cravings.
Interesting. Okay, I'm liking this, but I'm also wondering about the long-term effects, like can you do keto forever?
That's a great question, and we'll definitely talk more about that later.
Okay, good.
But first, let's look at another benefit that the source talks about, which is stable blood sugar levels.
Okay, stable blood sugar. Now, I know that's important for people with diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have diabetes, so does it even matter for me?
It really can. You see, when your blood sugar goes up and down all the time,
Yeah.
it affects your energy, your mood, even your focus.
Oh, wow.
It's like being on a roller coaster all day long.
That's a good analogy.
And keto, because it keeps those carbs low, helps keep your blood sugar nice and steady.
Okay, so instead of a roller coaster, it's more like a nice walk in the park.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Much more pleasant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but we can't ignore the cons, right?
We can't.
Like we talked about the low-carb flu.
Mm-hmm.
The source also mentions possible nutrient deficiencies
Yes.
and digestive issues, so should we be worried about those?
Those are definitely valid concerns, and we are going to unpack them.
Okay, good.
But remember, no diet is perfect, so it's all about weighing those pros and cons, seeing if they fit with your own needs and goals.
Okay, so we have a lot more to talk about, but before we dive into all of that,
Sure.
I'm curious, what stands out to you so far about keto from what we've learned from this source?
For me, it's how keto goes beyond just losing weight.
Okay.
It's about optimizing your metabolic health. And that affects everything, your energy levels, your risk for chronic diseases.
Yeah, it's not just about fitting into your genes.
Exactly.
It's about feeling good from the inside out.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We've still got a lot more to uncover about the ketogenic world, so stay with us as we continue our deep dive.
Sounds good. Reading through this source, pros and cons of the keto diet,
Yeah.
one thing that really stood out to me
Yeah.
was how important electrolytes are,
Okay.
especially when you're dealing with that low-carb flu in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, I remember the source mentioned that, but I kind of skimmed over that part. Electrolytes, isn't that something that mostly athletes worry about?
Well, they're important for everyone,
Okay.
but especially on keto, because when you cut out carbs, your body gets rid of water weight,
Right.
and it loses important electrolytes like sodium, potassium, magnesium.
Oh, so it's not just about drinking more water then.
No, you have to
Yeah.
actually replace those minerals.
Oh.
They do so much, like helping your muscles work properly,
Mm.
nerve signaling, even keeping your heartbeat regular and your fluid balance in check.
I see. So if they're out of whack,
Exactly.
that's when you get those low-carb flu symptoms like the fatigue and headaches.
Yeah, muscle cramps too.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Not so much.
So the source recommends things like adding a bit of salt to your water
Mm-hmm.
or drinking bone broth. That sounds pretty easy.
It is.
But I'm still thinking about those longer-term potential issues with keto,
Sure.
like the nutrient deficiencies, the digestive problems. How worried should we be about that stuff?
Those are good questions. And it's true, when you're limiting whole food groups,
Hmm.
like grains and some fruits,
Yeah.
you got to watch out for nutrient gaps.
Okay.
So planning is key,
Right.
and maybe even supplements, depending on the person.
That's why you can't just jump into keto, right?
Exactly.
Like the source said, it's smart to work with a doctor or a dietitian.
Especially if you have other health conditions.
Yeah, to make sure you're doing it safely.
For sure.
Okay, and what about those digestive issues?
Oh, right.
Like the constipation, that's a common complaint, right?
It is, and often it's because people are eating less fiber on keto.
Oh, because fiber comes from those carb-rich foods like fruits and veggies.
And whole grains.
Right.
So it's not really the fat itself that's the issue.
Oh,
It's the lack of fiber.
gotcha. So what's the fix for that?
Well, the source recommends eating more low-carb veggies that are high in fiber,
Okay,
like broccoli, cauliflower,
right.
leafy greens,
So you can't just live on bacon and cheese.
pretty much.
Got it.
You need your veggies.
Which honestly, most people don't get enough of anyway, even if they're not on keto.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so maybe this is good for everyone.
Could be.
Okay, so nutrient deficiencies, digestive issues. What other cons does the source mention?
Well, one is how hard it can be to stick with keto long-term.
Oh, right, because it's pretty strict.
Very strict.
So it's not just about the food itself, it's about the lifestyle change. And that can be tough for some people.
It can.
And then there's the social aspect.
Yeah.
Like going out to eat
Mm-hmm.
or going to parties.
It's not always easy.
Right, because everyone's having pizza and you're like, can I just get a side salad?
Exactly. So it can feel a bit isolating.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. So is keto more like a short-term fix then?
That's a good question, and there's actually a lot of research going on right now,
Oh, okay.
looking at the long-term effects of keto.
Interesting.
Some studies are showing that it can be really good for weight management
Okay.
and for improving metabolic health over time.
Right.
But other studies say it's tricky to keep up with, and it's important to work with a professional to make it work.
So we don't have all the answers yet.
Not quite,
Yeah.
but even if someone doesn't do keto forever,
Yeah.
it could still be really helpful for, like, resetting their eating habits
Oh, that makes sense.
and understanding how their body reacts to different foods.
Right, so it's like a learning experience.
Right.
Okay, well, we've talked a lot about the physical stuff,
We have.
but what about the mental side of things?
Oh, right.
The source mentioned that some people on keto feel more focused and clear-headed.
Mm.
Is there any truth to that?
A lot of people say that's true for them,
Okay.
and some researchers think those ketones we were talking about might actually boost your brain power.
So it's not just about the physical benefits.
Right.
It can actually affect your mind, too.
Exactly. And remember how we were talking about those blood sugar spikes and crashes?
Yeah.
Well, that can mess with your concentration and your mood.
Oh, for sure.
But on keto, because your blood sugar is more stable,
Right.
it might help you feel more clear-headed and emotionally balanced.
It's amazing how everything is connected.
It is.
Like what you eat affects your whole being.
Definitely.
This has been really eye-opening, and I think we've pretty much covered everything from that pros and cons of the keto diet source.
I think so.
But before we wrap up this section, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I would say the most important thing to remember is that the keto diet is a personal journey.
Okay.
Like any big lifestyle change,
Right.
there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
You have to really think about the potential benefits and risks and make the choice that works best for you.
Because everyone is different.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not about following the latest trend.
Right.
It's about making informed decisions about your own health.
Absolutely.
And maybe keto is part of that for some people,
Mhm.
and for others it might be something totally different.
That's right.
Okay, so throughout this whole keto conversation,
Mhm.
one thing that keeps popping back into my head is that the source mentioned keto could actually slow down aging,
Right.
which is a pretty big claim.
It is.
And I'm kind of wondering, like, is there any real science behind that?
You know, it's definitely something you hear a lot about with keto.
Hmm.
And while we need more research, there are some pretty interesting ideas out there.
Okay, so are we talking like ketone smoothies for eternal youth?
Huh. Not exactly.
Okay.
But remember how we were talking about ketones being such a good energy source?
Yeah.
Well, some studies suggest they might also be powerful antioxidants.
Oh, antioxidants like you get in blueberries and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as we age, our cells get damaged
Right.
from stress, pollution, just everyday life, really.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And those antioxidants can help protect your cells from that damage.
So the idea is that ketones might help slow down that whole aging process.
That's the theory.
Interesting.
There's also research on keto and something called autophagy,
Autophagy, okay.
which is like a cellular recycling system.
Okay, what does that mean?
Think of it like your body's cleaning crew,
Okay.
getting rid of old, broken down parts and making new ones.
So keto could actually help with that cleaning process.
Some studies are pointing in that direction.
Mhm.
And that's important because autophagy is thought to help prevent those age-related diseases and just keep you healthier longer.
Okay, so protecting cells from damage and then helping them repair themselves, that's pretty cool.
It is.
Even if we need more research to be sure.
Right.
But let's step back for a sec. For someone who's like on the fence about keto,
Yeah.
they're not sure if it's right for them.
Mhm.
What would you tell them?
Honestly, the most important thing is to really listen to your own body
Okay.
and be honest about what you want to achieve and how keto fits into your life.
Right, it's not for everyone.
It's not a magic bullet. No diet is.
Exactly. You can't just jump on the bandwagon because it's trendy.
Nope.
It's got to be the right fit for you.
Absolutely.
And you know, what stood out to me throughout this whole deep dive is that the source keeps saying how important it is to get personalized guidance.
Yes, that's crucial.
Like, this isn't something you just do on your own.
It's not a DIY project.
Exactly.
Having a doctor or a dietitian on your team
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
Oh, totally. It's about finding the right support system, having someone who knows their stuff to help you through it.
They're like your metabolic personal trainer,
I like that.
helping you figure out your needs, making a plan that works for you.
And troubleshooting if things go wrong.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this keto deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one message you want to send our listeners off with?
I think it's this. If keto's calling to you, explore it. Do your research, talk to the experts, and most importantly, trust your gut.
Love it.
Your body knows what it needs.
Yeah.
You just have to pay attention.
This deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
Not just learning about keto, but learning about how we can make smart choices about our health.
That's what it's all about.
So whether you're team keto or on a different path altogether,
Right, yeah.
we hope this knowledge helps you make the best choices for you.
Absolutely.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.